Market Street, 1900. 6 years before the catastrophe. Two businessmen met on the corner, bowler hats, dark suits, conducting the daily rituals of commerce. Behind them, the Chas Lund sign, telegraph poles carrying messages of deals and opportunities. This was San Francisco at the height of its confidence. No longer a rough mining camp, but a real American metropolis. The men talked, gestured, perhaps closing a deal on timber or silver, or Chinese silk just arrived in the harbor. A carriage passed behind them, part of the endless flow of commerce that made Market Street hum. The buildings rose solid and permanent, brick and stone, built to last centuries, or so everyone believed. In 6 years, every structure visible here would be ash. But on this morning, no one imagined such a thing possible. The city felt invincible. These two men shook hands, perhaps, and went their separate ways, down streets that would soon exist only in photographs. This was San Francisco before the fall, when permanence was something you could build.
Market Street before 5th was the showcase where San Francisco proved it belonged among the great cities of the world. The buildings rose 6, 7 stories, their facades decorated with cornices and columns, their ground floors filled with shops selling everything from French perfume to mining equipment. The Emporium, the Call Building, the Palace Hotel, these were institutions as permanent as the hills themselves, or so everyone believed. Elegantly dressed women shopped while their husbands made deals in the offices above. And beneath it all ran the cable car tunnels and water mains, the gas lines and electrical conduits, all built on filled marshland and sand. When the earthquake struck, this section of Market Street suffered catastrophically. The grand buildings pancaked into their own foundations. Survivors spoke of walking down Market Street after dawn and not recognizing where they were, every landmark obliterated. Just rubble and smoke and the distant roar of approaching flames. Market Street at dawn, when the city was still shaking off sleep, and the light came in low and golden, casting long shadows down the boulevard. The silhouettes of early risers, clerks heading to their desks, domestics traveling to the homes on Nob Hill, delivery drivers already hours into their routes. This was the quiet hour, before the city roared to life, when you could still hear individual footsteps and the clop of horses echoed off building facades. In this light, San Francisco looked almost fragile, ephemeral, like it might dissolve if you looked away. And perhaps that was closer to the truth than anyone wanted to admit, because permanence was an illusion in a city built on sand, on a fault line, waiting for the earth to remind them that nothing lasts forever. San Francisco's wealth came from the water. The harbor was choked with ships, their masts creating a forest of wood and rope and canvas. Vessels from China, from Australia, from South America and the East Coast, all converging on the Golden Gate. The waterfront was rough territory, where sailors and stevedores worked. The warehouses along the Embarcadero held everything: grain waiting for export to Asia, lumber from the northern forests, canned goods, wine, equipment for the Nevada mines. When the earthquake hit at 5:12 a.m., the waterfront shook violently. Brick warehouses collapsed, ships broke free from their moorings, and the filled land beneath the docks liquefied, turning solid ground to quicksand. Within hours, fires would reach the waterfront, destroying days' worth of stored cargo, while firefighters watched helplessly, their water mains shattered, their hydrants running dry. When the fires finally burned themselves out after 3 days and 3 nights, San Francisco was unrecognizable.
Over 80% of the city destroyed, 28,000 buildings gone, more than 3,000 people dead, and 225,000 homeless. But some neighborhoods survived. The houses still stood, their Victorian details somehow intact, while blocks around them had vanished. These survivors became the new downtown. In the weeks after the fire, Fillmore Street transformed into a commercial district. Merchants set up shop in residences. Banks operated from living rooms. The empty lots in the foreground had held homes, families, lives. Now they were just cleared space, waiting to be rebuilt. San Francisco would rebuild, of course, and within 3 years, most of downtown would be reconstructed. But looking at this emptiness, you can feel the pause, the moment between destruction and resurrection, when the city held its breath. On the cliffs overlooking the Pacific, where the Presidio kept watch over the Golden Gate, San Francisco displayed a curious marriage of art and military might. Classical marble statues stood alongside modern cannons, both monuments to civilization, though serving very different purposes. On Sunday afternoons, the city's refined classes came here to promenade. Women in their finest hats and darkest silks, men in summer suits and boaters, admiring Greek goddesses while standing beside weapons of war. It was the contradiction at the heart of the age, beauty and violence, culture and conquest, the Gilded Age in miniature. The statues represented everything San Francisco aspired to be: cultured, sophisticated, connected to the great traditions of Western civilization. The cannons represented what it actually was: a military outpost on the edge of empire, guarding American interests in the Pacific, watching for threats that might never come. But on days like this, with the sun bright and the ocean breeze gentle, the contradictions didn't matter. The tourists pointed and discussed, admired the marble craftsmanship, marveled at the engineering of the guns, and felt proud to live in a city that could afford both. This was San Francisco before the fall. Confident, prosperous, unshakable, a city that believed it had conquered nature itself and earned its place among the great cities of the world. Out beyond the dense heart of the city, San Francisco dissolved into something quieter, almost rural. Point Lobos Road stretched along the coast, where the Pacific rolled endlessly against the cliffs. Houses stood scattered across open land, connected by dirt roads and hope. This was the city's edge, where developers dreamed and land speculators drew lines on maps. The air here smelled of salt and sage, and on clear days you could see for miles. It was peaceful, unremarkable, the kind of place where nothing much happened. No one looking at this empty land could have imagined it would be one of the few parts left standing while downtown burned to ash. San Francisco in 1906 learned that nothing built by human hands is permanent. But it also learned something else, that cities are more than buildings. They are the people who refuse to leave, who camp in parks, who set up shop in living rooms, and start again. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe for more journeys through history.